Well, today was a very exciting day. The day I've been waiting for a long time. I finally got my boat finished and I took it out to the lake. Lake Pleasant was beautiful today. I had planned on going out there just doing a quick water test, but I did bring my fishing poles just in case I wanted to stay a little bit longer. I ended up staying for about 5 hours. I didn't catch a thing because I spent most of the day just tooling around the lake, having a great time. What I wanted to do was I wanted to find a nice quiet cove and set up my camera and talk about and show my boat at the lake. But it was such a beautiful day that every cove in that lake had people fishing in it. And I don't blame them because it was amazing out there. The temperature probably in the mid 70s, a light breeze, nice and sunny. For Arizona, we're talking that's incredible. And our summer heat's coming soon, so we gotta take advantage of that every moment we can. But let me take this boat outside and I will point out and show you all the things that I did with this boat. Excited to show you. A couple years ago, I sold my motorcycle on Facebook Marketplace and I bought this boat. For a boat that's almost 60 years old, it's really not that bad. Although every time I took it to the lake, it did almost sink on me several times. It leaked so bad, I had to use my sump pump all the time. But now, this is what it's like. I took it out to the water, and it didn't leak, not even a little bit. It was so nice to be in a boat that I didn't feel like I was going to sink in. If you go back and look at my previous videos, you'll see how I patched the holes, and fixed the different spots where it was leaking. There were so many different holes in the back and the bottom, and how I fixed all of that, and then how I painted this thing multiple coats using that truck bed coating, which I am so very happy with how it turned out. In my last video, I had just finished painting the inside of the boat, and I had painted it 3 coats of this truck bed coating. And I was going to do the same exact thing to the outside, paint it 3 coats. As I was editing the video and I came to this part and I saw myself painting the boat at this speed, it made me think, wouldn't it be amazing if we could be cartoon characters? Just imagine with me for a second. If I was a cartoon character, I would have just grabbed the paint off that boat originally and just yanked it right off. I wouldn't have had to do all that crazy work. Just yank that paint off. Then I would have grabbed a bucket. It wouldn't have mattered what kind of bucket it was. I would have just grabbed a bucket and I would have written on it, brand new boat paint. And then I would have grabbed some kind of something to paint the boat with. It wouldn't matter what it was. It could have been a mop. And I would just slap that paint all over that boat. Slapped it like crazy. Just all over the place. Like I'm slapping my little brother because he stole my Oreo cookie. I'd have slapped that paint on there and then that boat would have looked brand new. In fact, it wouldn't have looked brand new. It would have been brand new. And then, if I wanted a bigger motor for my boat, I would have just grabbed that motor and pretend it was like a balloon and just blew into it until it was bigger. And then I would have had a bigger motor. And wouldn't it be amazing to be a cartoon character? You know what, now that I think about it, forget it. After this, I'm going to go find myself a TV set, crawl inside, and I'm going to become a cartoon character. Alright, back to reality. Now, if you notice the seats, the bench seats originally were plywood covered in a carpet, and those things were rotten to the core. They were in terrible condition. So I replaced them with this wood that I had got from a neighbor. My neighbor was tossing this wood out. I believe they were slats from a bunk bed, and I stained them and they turned out really nice. I love them. Those seats are on swivels, so they're great for when you're sitting out there on the lake. And like I mentioned before, when I was on the water, not a single drip of water came in. You can go back and watch my previous videos and see how I sealed all those holes. It wasn't all that hard. And in here, I've got my battery. Eventually, I plan on putting 2 batteries in there. Right now, I just have 1. And one battery is going to be for the trolling motor. The other battery is going to be for my lights, which I don't have on there yet either. I plan on installing lights at a later date. Not only lights, but also a fish finder. So that's something else I plan on putting on a later date. On the floor here, I plan on putting some rubber mats with to cover the floor. This right here is my PVC line that I ran my power line through that goes all the way back to my trolling motor. In just a moment, I'll show you where it comes out the backside of that little PVC pipe, where it just runs clean through. It's just perfect, and it's hidden so well, and the wires are completely out of the way. You're not going to trip on them. So this whole thing turned out really nice. There's always more that I could do, but I'm happy with what I did. I'm so glad you guys could join me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed this series, and I hope it was somewhat helpful for you if you're working on doing the same thing with your boat as well. You know, there was a lot of times where this project got a little overwhelming, and it was especially in the part where I was stripping the paint off the boat. That was the hardest part for me. And a few other parts that were kind of difficult, but you know, in the end, it was worth it, and it was a lot of fun. Well, there'll be other things that we'll be doing here on this channel, and I hope you can join us, and I hope you enjoy the ride with all the things that we do.